Hello again. Spiritual Awakening, Part 3. So, 2011, I was preparing for my wedding. I remember so many serendipitous things occurring. Our chosen wedding date was 9/10/11. And now sequential numbers follow me everywhere. Maybe they always have. And I only recently, the past few years, became aware of it. I began seeing crows all the time. I had been reading about the Morrigan and was connecting more to those ancient archetypes, strong feminine archetypes. I would hear crows outside my window, and the winter before we got married, I wanted to go to yoga class with my friend Jonathan. So I got up early one morning, determined to go to yoga. It was a little bit icy, and I had this big blue van that had terrible shocks, and so I didn't really make it very far down the road before I hit a bump and literally bounced into the ditch. And then, as soon as that happened, a crow lands right in front of me on the hood of my vehicle. And then I turn around to look behind me, and there is a red truck hooking me up with a tow strap, getting ready to pull me out. And I turn back around to look in front of me, and the crow is gone. And that's when I first realized that crows are my protectors, my guardians. They're always looking out for me and letting me know that I'm being protected, I'm being watched over. So I think it was a week or two before my mom died recently, when I saw that crow flying above my car, and then I saw the black cat in the road, and I stopped for that black cat. I knew it meant something. Like, a lot of people, when they see crows or black cats, they assume that it's a bad or negative omen. But that doesn't jive with my experience. They're always helping me along my path, helping me to know that I am on the right path, and I'm where I'm meant to be. I'm doing what I'm meant to do, to keep at it. So in 2011, which is 10 years ago, this is what was happening. After that, I would see the crows everywhere, and if I saw them when I was on my way to work, I knew they were telling me, "Be careful, Heather, be careful." And I'd be like, "Okay, I'm careful, buckle on up." And another interesting thing that was very special is I had lost my wedding ring before I even got married. I had lost it. It fell off my finger. And I was so upset. And Keith was so upset. But Jonathan found it. He saw like a sparkle under a dryer in the garage of Jared's house at the time, and there it was. It was my ring. I had lost it on Thanksgiving. And Jonathan returned it to me. That was really special. There were so many special things that happened. I'm going to back up a little bit from 2011. I want to go back to, I think it was 2007 to 2008. I was working at Big B, which was Beaner's at the time. And I met my friend Patty. She was prospecting for potential, I forget what they call them, but potential recruits for Primerica, which I did unfortunately get sucked into, but it was a learning experience nevertheless. I learned that money is absolute bullshit, that it's all a lie. It's all bullshit. Of course, that wasn't the intention of what they were trying to teach me, but that's what I gained from the experience. Money is bullshit. And the whole thing was just a setup for me to meet Patty, because Patty introduced me to Paramahansa Yogananda, and learning about his life and the lineage of gurus has opened me to so many other possibilities and has allowed me to bloom in that knowledge that we're meant to strive for something greater. If you do not know who Paramahansa Yogananda is, I highly recommend reading Autobiography of a Yogi. There's even audiobooks available on YouTube where you can just listen to it for free. So, Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. Reading that book is like reading a collection of fairy tales from someone's real life, and it's so special to me. It just validated everything I always believed in, and always, that everything that the world tells you isn't real, that it's just an imagination, that magic doesn't exist. But I know that it does, because I see it every day. Because I know that we are magic. It's in the remembering. So there was this one day, I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the last videos, but there was this one day when I went to a downtown antique store, and I was browsing around, and I found this pentacle, handcrafted from clay. The carvings were hand done, and it was beautiful. I really loved it. Didn't have a price on it though, so I went to the counter to ask how much it was, and they gave it to me for free, and I knew that that was a gift. I was being gifted with one of my tools. One of the things that would hold me back in my practice was feeling like I had to follow all these rules and know all these different things while also having access to all these different herbs and tools that were very expensive to buy. And I was definitely living up with a poverty wage. So when little things like that, little gifts from the universe happened, I knew that how special it was. And I had that pentacle for years. It wasn't until like right when we were moving or preparing to move, preparing to buy a house, which was about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I can't even remember anymore. Time is elusive. But I just got a text. Anyway, I was preparing to buy a house, and so I had like an altar set up using the pentacle. I had my petition to the universe. I had a house box that Keith had made for this purpose that I filled with momentums and charged with my energy every single day to help attract the perfect home for us. And one day, I came home and my pentacle had been flipped upside down, not turned upside down, but literally flipped over for the back side that is normally unseen. And when I went to pick it up, it was split right down the middle, broken in half. And that's when I knew that I was shifting to another level where that level of magic had been surpassed. I was being spiritually initiated into something greater than I've known before. Okay. Keith and I were married for a year before conceiving our first daughter, Melody. When this is interesting, is when I went into, or was preparing to go into labor with Melody. You know, if you're a woman that's ever been pregnant, you know, like those last days are like the worst. You can't ever get comfortable. And you don't want it to go past the due date. So I had it scheduled where if she wasn't born by the due date, I would be induced the very next day. Well, I went into active labor on my due date, and she was born the very next day. And then 3 years later, when I had Miss Harmony, it was the exact same thing. I went into labor on my due date, and she was born the very next day. I practiced yoga and meditation using the techniques and exercises taught by Paramahansa Yogananda and the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is based out of Encinitas, California. Paramahansa Yogananda came over from India. His guru was Swami Yukteswaraji. And Swami Yukteswara, his guru, was Lahiri Mahashaya. Lahiri Mahashaya was the guru of Paramahansa Yogananda's parents. And he blessed his parents at the time that his mother was pregnant with him. Lahiri Mahashaya, his guru, was Babaji. This is going to be triggering for anybody that doesn't know anything about this and is more comfortable with following the Bible. FYI, trigger alert. Babaji is the one who taught Jesus. Babaji is the one who taught Jesus. My friend Patty, we would talk everything spiritual, and we explored all kinds of underground information, from aliens to psyops to conspiracy theories about 9/11, just everything. And she told me about her experiences remembering her past lives. One of which was being a child at the feet of Jesus before the crucifixion and after the crucifixion. She said she remembered putting a fig leaf under him because she didn't want the blood to touch the ground. And she has such a strong emotional visceral reaction to that memory that she feels that she knows that it was real, that she actually had that experience. And I believe her. When people tell you their stories, I think we should just respect that we don't know everything, that we're each a piece of the puzzle, and we all have something different to share. We're all unique, but we're all a piece of the whole, and that should be celebrated and honored. There's going to be a part 4 for more current events, because we are in the quickening. As we progress, these experiences compound and multiply on a daily basis. So go outside in nature. Hear the owls, hear the crickets, hear the birds. Feel the earth beneath you. And know that you are one with it. And that it is a part of you. And that it is your teacher. And it loves you. She loves you. She forgives everything. And just wants you to work with her instead of against her. Say hello to my chickens. Oh, I forgot. I gotta turn the camera around. Oh, never mind. chickens?